People are becoming more aware how tenuous and precious our freshwater supplies are.
Water is a finite substance, a limited resource. Only a tiny fraction of the Earth's water is fresh.
I said it once, and I'll say it again. We can't eat money or drink oil.
Fresh water makes up a small fraction of the Earth's water. While nearly 70% of the planet is covered in water, only about 2.5% of it is fresh. Breaking it down even further, just 1% of fresh water is immediately accessible. The remainder is trapped in glaciers and snow. The amount of fresh water in the world has remained relatively consistent throughout time, being constantly recycled through the atmosphere. But all totaled, only 0.007% of water is available to a population of 6.8 billion people. So it's no surprise that water scarcity is becoming a big problem for our growing population. Around 1.2 billion people, or 1/5 of the global population, live in scarcity situations, and a further 500 million are at risk.
Experts say water shortages are threatening to become the world's #1 problem. But in Peru, that problem is already a reality.
Es una de las víctimas más fuertes del cambio climático en el mundo.
1.6 billion people face economic water shortage, where their country lacks the infrastructure to take water from rivers or aquifers. Water scarcity is expected to get worse as the global population rises. Water is essential to life, but a variety of economic, political, and social forces are making it a strained resource. Climate change, driven primarily by animal agriculture, also plays a role in threatening the planet's water supply. Agriculture accounts for 92% of humanity's water footprint, and animal agriculture represents 1/3 of that.
At least 90% of that water is used for agriculture. The rest is for industrial use or for drinking. So if we're going to avoid running out of water, here's a few things that we can do. We need to fundamentally rethink agriculture by growing crops that use less water, by cutting down on livestock farming, and by using techniques like drip irrigation to maximize efficiency.
Animal agriculture is resource intensive, and fresh water is needed not only for growing feed and hydrating animals, but also to clean equipment, plus blood and excrement from floors. Our diet is the biggest contributor to our water footprint. In the end, animal agriculture's resource-intensive nature means that it takes 660 gallons of water to produce one hamburger. To put that in perspective, the average shower uses 17.2 gallons of water, so you could take about 38 showers for the water cost of one burger. Milk isn't excused either. A glass of milk requires 66 gallons of water to make. Where does all of the water use come from? The average flushing system for facilities uses 150 gallons per cow per day. The average cow drinks 23 gallons of water a day. But food is the biggest contributor to the water footprint of cows. In the United States, 47% of soy and 60% of corn is dedicated to feeding livestock. Animal agriculture pollutes our water supply. Tyson, one of the world's top producers of poultry, has dumped more toxic chemicals into our waterways than oil companies like ExxonMobil.
Tyson Foods and the meat industry as a whole has been linked to an environmental catastrophe many are calling a toxic dead zone.
Between 2010 to 2014, it dumped 104 million pounds of pollutants into waterways. Major meat corporation Cargill also ranked above Big Oil, dumping 50,405,770 pounds of pollutants in the same time frame. Polluting the waterways also contributes to climate change. Animal manure emits pollutants such as carbon dioxide and nitrates, which trap heat in the atmosphere and raises global temperatures.
Henning and her husband grow maize and soybeans on their 120-hectare farm, but within 16 kilometers of her home live tens of thousands of cows and hogs in what are called concentrated animal feeding operations, or CAFOs. The several hundred animals housed in each medium-sized CAFO produce as much waste as a small city of tens of thousands of people. But unlike city sewage, this waste sits in lagoons and is spread untreated on farm fields as fertilizer.
Nitrates contribute to algal blooms and ocean dead zones, areas of the water that are completely devoid of life. In 2017, an 8,000 square mile large dead zone developed along the coasts of Louisiana, Texas, and Florida.
Fertilizer pollution flowing down the Mississippi River from the American heartland is the cause of this dead zone, and it causes toxic algae blooms, and this is where marine life cannot survive.
This was caused by water that contained high levels of nitrates and phosphates, both of which come from animal waste. When large quantities of these nutrients enter the water, they act as a fertilizer for fast-growing algae. This leads to more algae on the ocean's surface than there typically would be, which sets off a dangerous chain effect. The algae consumes the oxygen in the water, and without enough oxygen, larger marine animals are the first to die, followed by smaller creatures. The dead animals provide a steady food source for bacteria to thrive off of, and as the bacteria multiply, they consume more oxygen. As a result, the dead zone continues to grow. Because plant life tends to thrive in warmer weather, dead zones also benefit from rising global temperatures. These pollutants affect people too. Nitrates, which come from animal manure, are the most common groundwater pollutants in rural areas. High levels of nitrate in the water can affect the digestive tract of infants, leading to a disease called methemoglobinemia.
And if you have a certain concentration of nitrates in drinking water, and this has happened in Indiana, in Ohio, and other places I went to visit, where the drinking water has elevated levels of nitrates, that can cause something called blue baby syndrome, where a young child who drinks that water, they have an oxygen deficit and they literally turn blue. It has been associated with diabetes and other neurodevelopmental disorders, possibly even autism, I would suspect.
Dead zones aren't the only issue with nitrate and phosphorus-rich water. When Category 4 Hurricane Florence hit the Carolinas in September 2018, the record-breaking rainfall caused waste lagoons, large pools of water where farmers store pig feces, to run over.
Hog waste impacts the residents of eastern North Carolina.
The hogs are kept in tent metal housing, and they have slacks in the floor where whenever they go to the bathroom, or abort baby piglets or whatever happens with them, it falls through the slacks in the floor.
North Carolina has 9.7 million pigs that produce 10 billion gallons of manure annually.
At least 5 hog lagoons have failed, while another 21 are discharging animal waste into the environment following Hurricane Florence.
And the state says the problem could be worse. CBS 17's investigative reporter Richard Essex is asking why this is happening.
During the hurricane, 33 hog lagoons overflowed, sending pig waste throughout the nearby landscape. It can also seep into the groundwater. Hurricane Florence isn't the first time that hog lagoons overflowed. In 1996, wastewater entered the Cape Fear River watershed as a result of Hurricane Fran. This led to large-scale fish kills as a result of hypoxia. When animals live in close proximity, as they do in factory farms, disease can spread fast. To prevent this, farmers administer low doses of antibiotics. But this also allows antibiotic-resistant bacteria to develop, which exits the pigs' bodies through fecal matter. When hog lagoons overflow, these superbug bacteria seep into the ground and can enter surface waters. Bacteria such as E. coli thrives in hog feces. According to a study published by the National Institutes of Health, more than 40% of hog fecal samples from North Carolina farms exceeded state and federal water quality guidelines for E. coli. High-poverty areas, which are often close to hog farms, are disproportionately more likely to have their water contaminated by hog lagoons. Acid rain is another consequence of factory farming. Acid rain is a form of precipitation that contains high levels of hydrogen ions, making it unusually acidic. It's capable of killing off fish, damaging healthy soil, damaging trees and other vegetation, and corroding steel structures. Acid rain is caused by sulfur dioxide and nitrogen oxide emissions in the atmosphere. According to Scientific American, nitrogen oxide is now the leading cause of acid rain. These vapors are derived from power plant, car, and truck emissions, as well as animal agriculture operations in the U.S. In contrast to animal-based foods, plant-based crops use significantly less water. Beef requires 2,000 gallons of water per pound. Pork requires 576, and chicken 468. Soybeans and corn, which are primarily used for animal feed, require 206 gallons and 108 gallons respectively. In contrast, lentils require 704 gallons of water per pound, and chickpeas require 501. In the US, 47% of soy and 60% of water is consumed by livestock. Water saved from going vegan could conserve drinking water for those who do not have access. Crops grown for animals could be dedicated to human consumption as well and help alleviate food insecurity. Land could be used to grow more sustainable plant-based protein. For example, food comprises of 2/3 of the average American's water footprint. Animal agriculture is not only a threat to our water supply, but also ocean ecosystems, global temperatures, and human health. Adopting a plant-based diet is a win for the planet, people, and animals alike. That's it for today. Did you learn anything new in this video? Let us know in the comments below. As always, remember to subscribe and hit the notification bell. New videos every Tuesday and Friday.